Okay. Joanne? You ready?
Everybody got their budget handy? That's what we're going to discuss.
On this budget revision,
Yeah.
I went through and I changed everything that I knew at now that we were either over or just weren't going to go on. We're not going to have any more expenses for the year, and that was mostly the insurance, as you'll see. But when the budget's made, it's really made up in September. We don't get our premiums until December. So those are mostly changes, and then in the administration, on the auditing expenses, it was a little higher than I had anticipated, and then we make the last payment on the state audit, so that brought that from $1,800 up to $3,297. Same way with the police budget. The insurance was the main thing that I adjusted that now on all of this.
Okay.
This insurance premium.
They added liability insurance.
Well, we always did have it. We broke it down. We always included it in the property, but I broke it out because I want everybody to see, break it down by the various departments.
You put new in.
Well, that one on the police, yes.
That's added.
That was the only one I added new right now, was on the police department.
Right. Because we have.
I divided it out by all the different departments, so,
Right.
yeah. That's how it got that. But some of them went down, some of them went up. Most of the vehicles went down a little bit, but then except for the new van, the newer van, it went up a little bit, but then the police car went up $2. The insurance on that. But
Is
then
that
the
this
fire
car right
department-
here?
Is that this car or the other car?
No, it's this car here. We don't have the other one insured yet. We don't have it.
Okay.
You can't insure anything you don't have.
Yeah, but do.
It'll go up again.
Yeah, it'll probably go up again, we'll have to amend it again.
We'll have to amend it, but we'll be amending the budget every so many months anyway.
Okay.
So then I'll do it then, and then, the fire department, all their insurance premiums, went down, which is something.
The general fund and administration went up like 3,500. While the others decreased.
You're looking at the auditing fees, it's not made it go up.
Yes.
That $2,000 some odd $100 that I had paid to the state for the state audit.
Right.
That's fine, your $15,000 audit is finally paid off.
Yeah, that was the
That's
last
the last payment.
And, employers' liability practice. I didn't put that in there last year, I don't know where. And I called them about it, and they said everybody has to take it, so $496 more.
Property insurance went up.
Yes.
Yep. Well, plus we got all the improvements too.
Everything in my home went up, everything I pay, every insurance, everything I got went up. There ain't no reason to think everything here ain't gonna go up.
Some of it went down.
If you pay bills, you know that it goes up.
That's right.
and we're not exempt from it. Sometimes they hit us harder.
But anyway, you can see by the cover ordinance how much each one. The street department went down by $157. The water budget went up about $700. The sewer went up a whole bunch because the USDA wanted me to make the budget up, showing, and you can look at that budget compared to what I had before, showing what our payments are going to be with the bonds and everything, because as soon as the sewer project's done, we have to start making payments.
Right.
That's the biggie, is it 49,000?
Yeah, and that was all for the sewer and debt, you can see at the bottom. Of course, the audit went up a little bit because we had figured a little bit less on that, and we should have on this regular audit that we're going to get a report on tonight.
Right.
You know, for landline telephones, because you're the city or a business, you pay a much higher rate than if it was residential.
Well, sure.
And what it is now is you can get cell phones and transfer those numbers to the cell phone, and the cell phones don't say, oh, are you using it for personal or business? You see what I'm saying?
I think I do know what you're saying, but we have to buy more software.
We have to have a landline because of the computers, the internet and stuff.
You can have what they call a dry socket, where you don't get phone service through it, but you get internet through it. And a lot of these cell phones, depending on what level you go to, you can be on the internet on the cell phones. On those tablets, you know, what do they call them?
I don't know what you're talking about, you want to buy tablets too then.
Well, usually they have, when you sign up for a package, it would be, you know, there's some that are free and then some that you can pay extra for that have extra bells and whistles.
Well, I'll
And then
tell you,
every 2 years you get another phone free.
Mr. Gerard, if you're serious about that, do your research and then report to the board what the cost would be, okay?
Of course, I'm
You're really
serious, why I'm
serious about it?
discussing it. I'm,
We just make a phone, we can research and see how much we can save.
And then report to the board, and then we'll make our decision from there.
I was clarifying with Joanne about our rate.
Okay.
And I'm just thinking of ways we can save money, and this is one.
That's fine, just do your research and report to the board, and we'll make our decision from there.
I don't have a way of finding out.
And another thing that, you know, when I look at our electric,
Would they ever have that wind pad?
We're
I
listening.
can't see the city employees out there running around with a pad and keeping up with a pad.
well, I'm just saying that the cell phones are evolving into other technologies. We can still keep, you know, the DSL or UVerse, whatever it is you have.
I think we have U-verse here.
Yeah.
And just before I left, I Googled and found where, I was looking at our electric bill of the 800 or whatever, how much is it for the streetlights that we pay every month?
Well,
$125 a month.
well, it's about $600 a month, broke down between
Street paid about half that.
the street and the water, development.
Well,
Street
they
lights.
have solar powered streetlights. The city of Florida rolled them out.
These are not our street lights, these are citizens electric street lights. We don't own these street lights.
Yeah, we don't own the lights.
You pay for
Well, we pay a bill,
them.
here.
Right.
And we can't make them change their type of stuff in their building. We can't make it, we go with what they got.
Yeah, I don't think they let us have anything solar power, because then they would be selling any electricity to us.
Right.
Well, our tornado siren's solar powered.
True,
That's right, but we don't pay them nothing for it neither, and never have.
We can count on the sun. That's something we can always count on. I mean, if we're serious about trying to find
Well,
ways
now,
to
you
cut-
gonna tell me that we can afford to put in all solar powered street lights and save money right now? Well, how many street lights we got, what's the cost? Now, you sitting there telling me,
I was glancing and they were ranging from $39 to like $300 or something.
and you're talking about a city that's got the money to do it. We don't have the upfront money to do that if we would save money.
Well, it might
And we
be,
damn sure know we can't get nobody to get out and get collections from out anything, so that wouldn't work.
and we may be eligible for some energy grant
Yeah.
to do this project. I mean, don't be
Well,
so
what-
negative about it. It's just, we're trying to think of ideas to save
Yeah, and they all
tax
just about as
dollars.
far as fetch, or he going rabbit hunting with a pistol.
Pardon?
You come in here and you throw things up, but you got no prices, no nothing. You make it sound good. You don't know nothing about anything, how much it's gonna cost, what we can afford to do it. You can go out and research it, you can come up with it. Bring us some facts and figures, and we'd be glad to sit down and,
And discuss it, yep.
but I'm not gonna jeopardize your end up doing all this, and you know how to do it yourself. You got more work now than you can get done. But I don't have no problem with you going out and researching it and bring in facts and figures. But without them, as far as I'm concerned, you're just wasting somebody's time.
Where's the work session, we're discussing ways.
And that's what I
to
just
save
discussed with you. Get some facts and figures, then we can go from there. And see if it's foreseeable.
money. Nobody
You
else.
think nobody here on this board would like to save several $100s a year on electric?
Anybody else
That's
come
what
up
it is.
with any ideas?
We're asking to entertain yours, but give us some facts and figures, don't just say something. I can say, yeah, we need a new street sweeper. And then a good buy on one, but we can't afford it.
You got a good idea if it's
I mean-
feasible, but I don't have the time, I don't have the means to check that.
Oh, I'm just discussing it, saying, hey, this is something that we could do.
But
And I wanted positive feedback that, yeah, we'd like to save money and you know, like I just said, he thinks
Frank,
it's
we're
good. He
telling
doesn't
you,
have
go
time.
ahead and research it,
I know.
please. Go research it, bring us some facts and figures that we can work with, and then we'll do it. If it's feasible, then we will.
You know, and like I said, we could look into some solar powered grant thing to, you know, so we're less dependent on the electric company and using the sun for free.
Well, let me ask you a question. You Google and you do everything. Do you know of any small town that got what you're talking about? Do you know of any?
Just as I was getting ready to leave, I was looking on the computer and I pulled it up and I saw how this town in Florida had switched to it. And it was in 2007. And I'm like, wow.
But undoubtedly it ain't bleeding over too good, but I've never heard of any town doing it. So maybe it's not, but it could be.
Maybe the electric company doesn't want
And
everybody to
that's,
know.
well, they probably don't, but that's like shooting from the hip, you know?
It's like saying you can run your car on water, you know?
But we can listen to any research that you can come up with, and then if it's feasible, we can, get a committee on it and we can do some more. But just to say that someplace down in Florida did it, it might have been a city that's got plenty of money.
Well, it's a sunshine.
Well, because sometimes you gotta take, 30 years to break even. Well, we can't put a bill that takes that many years to break even.
We replace one a year, you know, whatever, you know, would be feasible. And like I said, if we get a grant to do it, it'd be even better.
I could almost agree with you on something like that until every time I look at this damn $3,000 on an audit, somebody tell me about saving money. Every time I see that, it just burns me up and then turn around and want to save $100 here and $100 there. And spend $15,000 on an audit. I just had trouble swallowing it. Let's move on. I don't want to get no big argument tonight. Just get the budget.
Well,
We gotta pass this
That's all I
budget.
have about, that's all I have about, just tell what it was all, because the auditor, and I know we need to do it.
If anybody needs any more information, because this budget's gonna have to be amended tonight, you ask them now. It ain't got nothing to do with what we can do in the future, it's this budget right now. Make sure that you're satisfied, because we're going to move on if you are. If you ain't, we're gonna try to satisfy everybody.
Well, and if there's something that's not in here, it's not like it's a matter of life or death, because as these additions occur, and we have to revise the budget over and over.
Every quarter?
Just about.
Every
At
city
least
has to
4
amend the
times
budget.
a year, at least 4, or we should really be doing it as we incur huge expenses, and that's why we're doing it now, is because we have got some expenses here that need to be included. Well, 49,000 in the sewer budget is quite a bit.
Yeah.
Well, if nobody got any more questions, I guess if you've got anything else, or anything else on the agenda that you want to discuss before it goes up, or that you wasn't aware of? If they're from the city, they want to ask any questions.
Well, I have a problem with it. I talked to Tom Bate about it. And, I didn't have any idea about it till I saw the ordinance and asked him. And he explained to me that there was a stop sign there once upon a time. It disappeared. People are cutting the corners. They're going too fast. It's dangerous. He wants it, and I said, well, I'm supporting it then. I was going to tip off Dorothy Williams and John Lorenz, since it goes to their house, and my timing was really bad because Dorothy Williams just found out her husband is coming home from the hospital with hospice, and everything was crazy. So I didn't even want to bother her with it. I don't see why they have a problem with it.
I think you think
Nobody has a problem with it, so.
You think we did this without talking to Tom Bates?
I had no idea about anything. I went and talked to him. I keep in touch with him. He's in my
When we
ward.
go talk to Clyde over the street department, he's the one that we're working with, and see what, he talked to everybody, and he covered his bases. I went and talked to Tom Bates or Clyde, but Clyde won this time. I mean, he worked. But, this has been, we covered most of our bases. And it's mostly for Marion Cliff.
Yeah.
They more than just stop signs. There's gonna be some striping done there and everything, but the striping don't need ordinance. The stop sign needs ordinance.
And
As
so,
soon as the weather cooperates with
people
this.
like them, when they take the wires to work and stuff,
And then what?
when they go and taking the wires to work and they're just getting all, they'll come out instead of turning like they're supposed to on their side, and then, no, they just shoot out without the mess. I think
Anxious to get home and anxious to get to work.
Well, they do like anybody else. They don't stripe there, so they cut across, they come out on Elderman, anyone going straight across to 4th Street. And the people coming up 4th Street, they gotta stop because they're on their side of their road. When they turn, they're on, go down 4th Street. But they will be stripes, and Mark will be up there for a while and give people warnings and things, and try to get them where they come out, they stay where they're supposed to and make a left turn. Won't be none coming up the snow route coming up 4th Street because they don't want nobody stopping on that hill when it's snowing. It's been talked about, discussed, and worked out with Clyde, myself. Dennis has been in the conversation some. And Tom Bates has definitely been in on it. and he's been wanting it done for some time.
Well, the signs don't have to wait for the weather, so as soon as we approve the ordinance, we can put up the signs.
Yeah, we got the signs
We
on
don't have
hand.
to wait on the weather for that. If we're striping, we will have to.
But we've been up last week, but you had to put up new stop signs, you have to have orders. We got it. There,
What?
stop signs.
The stop signs we got, the poles we got.
No.
I don't have all, but we don't need toppers for them for the streets.
Or did you get the ones that I just offered?
No, we haven't got those yet.
The one that gets street.
We got the three-way sign,
But the stop signs,
we got the three-way sign.
Oh, they don't have.
I don't think we got a three-way.
You gotta put up three-way, if you got a three-way stop sign, you gotta put up three-way signs when you put up a stop sign.
That's what I ordered.
And are you gonna stencil them on the back like you did to the one that was stolen when you replace it so that it's traceable?
Well, I don't know, I didn't know nothing about stenciling one, don't remember, I don't know about doing it, didn't know what that.
That's what I thought you guys, we discussed in the meeting, is that one at the bottom of Church Hill has been stolen more than once, and you had it so that if someone did steal it, it would have marked on there where it was from, or...
They can be stamped, I don't know, I mean, this is the first time I heard of it, I mean, I wish that every stop sign had something on it, where if anybody was caught with it, it's property of the city or state or county or, and anybody that possessed one is in possession of stolen property, there should be some way of doing it. Street signs and everything else, but I don't remember the discussion you're talking about, I'm not saying we didn't, I don't remember. But stencil is just a little spray paint, I assume you're talking about. Which is removable.
I think it was etched in, was my understanding.
I don't
A
know.
little number code or something.
Does anybody here know what you're talking about?
I honestly don't.
I don't have a problem with
I
it.
never went and looked at the sign to see, but I remember it being discussed, and I thought, well, yeah.
I know
As long
that.
as we find it, and then they can see it on the back, but it's better than finding it and not knowing where it came
I
from.
think that, if I remember correct, back a few years ago, the county was trying to come up with some idea on, because they got name roads instead of numbers. And they was always stealing them names. And they were trying to come up with some way where they, if we got caught with it, they could identify them, but I don't know if they ever did anything.
It was, I remember because it was, someone had taken out some stop signs and there was car accidents that killed people. And they got tough and they put an ID on it and then I remembered it when you brought it up before. And it was about the one at Church Hill there, at the bottom.
I mean, I don't have no way, I mean, I don't doubt that we got any stamps, but I guess if I wanted to, he could take all the stop signs. and
Mark?
Numbers, or name, or a serial number or something.
Is Mark here?
Yeah, it's down around the corner.
Do you have any idea about any of this?
Know what you're talking
An
about.
ID on the back of the sign stenciled in?
I know what you're saying, and
I've never heard of it, never seen it.
I want to say yes and no. I can't really answer your question. I can see where it would be possible. Maybe some kind of a die set or some way to stamp something in possibly. I don't know if it's possible to cover them up or grind them off or.
Well, I think of what it was is like those little pens that you can etch. So if they try to file it away, you can tell that something was there.
And
But the sign's really thin anyway.
And they are, and of course, if they grind it away, you're just gonna be able to tell that it belonged to somebody somewhere.
Well, if we put ours in the bottom right corner, or you know what I'm saying?
There's nothing wrong with it, we haven't had nothing so long.
To have one of those little
It
devices to mark them, it would be real cheap.
would help show ownership, you know, as far as catching somebody with the sign.
Right.
What are the odds of doing that?
You'd have to take it off the bedroom wall and flip it.
You get very little incorporation out of parents on this, because how many parents goes in their kid's bedroom and see a stop sign on the wall, and they have to know that they didn't buy that damn thing.
They sell them in
Or
cardboard.
people got there in their garage on their wall, got a rock road, and they know damn well they didn't buy it. or any other tree, and they really have a problem with trees. And I still think that all signs, all government entities, nobody should have somebody stamping them, and if anybody's caught with it, it should be in possession of stolen property. I don't care who they are. But you'd be surprised at some people it would be.
On the personnel schedule, I forgot to mention, it says water operator and sewer operator. When it should be water distributor.
Just another
Yeah.
word, you can change that.
I mean, that's,
Just a word.
yeah, but the way it looks, Dennis Bove's getting paid because he's the water operator and the sewer operator.
Well, Ray is the operator. He has the operator license. He could be anything.
But it's showing his name in this, I mean, his title and the cash.
Well, I will change it the next time I do this thing over.
And then this $25 for collector's cemetery fund.
If she collects, I have to put something in there because if somebody pays her for a lot and she collects commission on it. So I have to put something in there so that way we don't have to come back and revise the budget for $2. I put something in there. I've always done that.
And then
It's a projected.
collector for the fire fund,
Same.
571, that's for collecting the tags.
Yeah. And like this month, she collected a lot, so she, got a nice little sizable amount for what
Well,
she collected.
we came
Tags.
here in January, and it's a
Yeah.
great big month for her, but you couldn't live on a salary the rest of the year on what she does. And these months, they make up a lot of the difference.
Their tag holders go up,
No,
it's always the same, or?
price is the same and the board has.
Well, I know it's the same, but are we still bringing in, we still have the amount of tag holders,
That I don't know, you have to ask her that.
her?
And yet,
Oh,
she's the one that sells them, I don't sell nothing. And when she doesn't get a response, she always contacts them back. And that's very good about making sure, because sometimes people will get, or they didn't get the renewal notice. She's always sends out second notices. We turned it down, wanted up.
Well, we can wait till we take a break and we'll get it warmed back up in here before the meeting starts. We'll turn it up here warm.
I thought I had it up.
I've been sick, so it don't take much to get me cold.
Yeah, I understand that. Well, I see my-
Anything else?
is this gonna potentially affect any water rates?
Which one, the budget?
Yeah.
Now is the present time.
Nope.
As we go along, we'll be able to tell
Or-
more. But you do
or-
know that we have to review, USDA makes us review those rates every year. There's no way that they'll let them slide. It'll be the same way with the sewer.
I'm talking about like our surplus, is it,
We don't have a surplus.
we're supposed to have, we're only allowed so much surplus.
We don't have no surplus.
We're supposed to bring in 10%, if my memory serves me right, more than our operating budget.
And we're paying out more than we're taking in.
Some of that might turn around, and then if you, sometimes you have an expense that it comes out at one, at one end, and then it starts coming back the other, and that's why you got a yearly thing and work it out.
Now, it looks like, at the first of the year, you always have more expenditures because you always have insurance that you have to pay at the beginning of the year. So that's one reason why your expenses are really high in this month, because you can spend out over $10,000 on insurance.
It's like our household, everything at the first of the year, my budget the first year is way over my income. But after all the big things get behind it, balances back out and it starts building back up.
Now, we just about broke even in the water fund this month, but you gotta realize, like I said, $2,000 at least or more, if not water fund, those checks were written for our insurance alone.
You decrease the street department?
Just, I didn't decrease, I mean, I decreased the budget, but I took that insurance, you know, I know what that insurance was. That's why it went down. I explained that to you
And then
before.
the jokers? Have we paid the bills?
I haven't, Joker's is not on the treasurer's report.
He's gonna pay
This is
that.
for December,
Mm.
this treasurer's report. I don't have the only thing I have is the bills for this month. Next month, I will give you the expenditures and everything for the month of January. But we did pay Joker's tonight, it's on the bills,
For
for that ditch down there they did.
ditch down where?
On Third
Explain it
Street,
to 'em.
Third and, Spruce down there. Third and Spruce, down there, that ditch.
21 Barnett and Tina Coxey. Tina Laura, I'm sorry.
10 hour, yeah.
I thought she was mad like that one.
Got too much now.
Oh, jeez.
That's all I did.
Don't put that in the paper.
No. Did we get bids for that? For that work?
Yes, we called around.
Oops.
I don't remember. It's been going on. It was agreed on 6 months ago. They agreed to do it.
Long time.
Oh,
Board voted on,
They agreed to do it on a rainy day when they wasn't doing nothing else, and they cut the price. I think I don't remember the official board or who it was. We talked to a couple of them. It's a small job. We didn't advertise for bids because it wasn't that big enough job. It was only $1,200. $1,200.
Yep.
We were losing the street again, just like we was all around that area down there. That's the only places we got real deep ditches, that the street goes right to the curb of a deep ditch, and when the truck, big truck gets through the edge, it's breaking the paving away, because the dirt's all washing away. You know, if it's say, 50 feet of street, it almost pays itself back.
They did a really fine job too.
Go ahead. Just sitting there looking at each other now,
Yeah.
waiting on Brad to find something else.
Well, if we don't have nothing further to discuss, I recommend we take a break, Mr. Mayor.
That's up to the board, ain't my fault.
You guys say we take a break?
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Right ahead. All rise, everybody, please. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would you all remain standing for a moment, please, when Raymond said the 40 kids and the 6 adults that were massacred in Newtown, Connecticut. One more song, please. Thank you.
Alderman Bovee,
Here.
Alderman Hudson,
Here.
Alderman Franklin. Here. Alderman Gerard.
here,
Approval of the agenda.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda with the exception of the closed session.
Second.
Motion made, second, all in favor?
aye.
Opposed? Okay, we got public forum, we got Jeffrey Schroeder here, BC, Hayrow and Schroeder with our audit report, and he's here to give me, Jeffrey Schroeder is going to give
You got the floor.
Thank you.
I'd be glad to, since this is the first time I've got a chance to work with you all, I always like to get a chance to talk with you face to face and tell you a little bit about what we've got and to summarize what's in this financial statement. I'm not sure whether you all have been on the council for more than a year, whether you've heard these presentations before, but I always like to at least make sure I get to go over it with you at least the first time. We appreciate the opportunity to get to do the audit this year. I think you'll see that the report itself is probably going to look pretty similar to what you've had in the past, but I know our comments are probably a little bit different about it. To start off with, we've issued actually 2 reports in these financial statements. We issue one report on the financial statements. What we do there is we explain that the preparation of the financial statements is the responsibility of the city, and what my responsibility as the auditor is to give an opinion on whether or not they're fairly stated in accordance with accounting principles. I go on to explain what standards that we adhere to while we were conducting the audit, and we explain that there is a slight modification.
That's me. Sorry.
Can't
start. I'm sorry.
No. Normally what we do is give an opinion on whether or not the financial statements are fairly stated in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. Now, the city's financial statements aren't prepared in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. It's a small difference. They use the modified cash basis of accounting. It's an accepted method of accounting, and it's very common for smaller governments. I would say probably 90 to 95% of all the audits that I do in a year use this basis of accounting. So we do explain that that's a little bit different than the normal report, but then we follow that up with the paragraph that explains that it is our opinion that these financial statements are fairly stated in all material respects in accordance with that basis of accounting. That's the technical language that's in there. And then we go on to explain that we've also issued another report that has to do with internal controls and compliance. We explain that there's additional information in these financial statements that are not a part of the basic financial statements, but that we've also applied procedures to them, and we also believe that they're covered under our opinion. We believe they're fairly stated as well. The second report that I was talking about follows. It's a report on internal control and on compliance. We don't actually issue an opinion on your internal control, but in order for us to be able to plan and conduct the audit properly, we have to understand how things work. I mean, how are we accumulating the numbers that are going to go into the financial statements? We have to be able to understand that. So while we're getting that understanding, if we see anything that we believe is out of place or creates a deficiency, that we will we will note that and we'll make suggestions. Then the last part of that report has to do with compliance. That we are looking at the city's compliance with a lot of different laws and regulations, contracts, and agreements, things that are financial in nature. And we did mention in there that we have one thing that we wanted to mention. I'll go back to that in a little bit. After those 2 reports is where the actual financial statements are. I know you all are familiar with your financial statements that you get, so I generally don't plan to spend a lot of time going over the numbers and the financial condition. Like I said, it's our opinion that these are fairly stated, and we believe that they're reliable. But I figured unless you want me to, there's not a lot of point in rehashing those numbers again. The part that follows near the end of the report is usually what everybody's interested in. That's our recommendations or findings. I mentioned that we had a couple of things that we wanted to talk about as far as the internal control structure. The first one has to do with what we consider to be an adequate segregation of duties. Now, in a town this size, with as many employees as you've got, I really don't know how you're going to get around this one. This is a recommendation we make almost every place we go. I understand that in an ideal world, you would have enough money and enough people to be able to segregate all these duties, and I understand that that's not practical. However, if I don't at least mention this, that it is a weakness, then I haven't done my job either. So we report to you that we do consider that to be a significant weakness in the internal controls. I think about the best thing that we can recommend is someday, if you were able to get enough people to be able to segregate those duties, then I hope you would consider doing it at that time. But until then, think you just have to do the best you can do with that. But like I said, this is more just informational, to let you know that that is a weakness there. The second recommendation we have has to do with significant adjustments. Now, when we were doing the work with the numbers, we did have to recommend significant changes to the financial statements that were given to us. I hated to do that, working with Miss Joanne. I was afraid this might be a poor reflection, but we really don't intend it to be that way. I think there was probably some rough transition with the way the last audit might have ended is kind of my understanding. I talked with the folks over at the other firm, and we got along just fine, and they helped us get what we needed to be able to get started. But it seems like there might have been some rough transition there. And what happened was some of the adjustments that needed to be made didn't get made until we came to do the audit. Now, the reason this is significant has to do with some changes in the way auditors do things a few years ago. It used to be that as long as these financial statements were fine by the time we were done, there was no harm, no foul. But as of a few years ago, things have changed for us auditors to where we have to at least be able to tell you whether they were at least materially accurate before we even started. And the reason is basically because before we get here, you're relying on this information, you're making decisions based on it. And if it was materially off, then we need to let you know that. And that was the case this time. After working with Joanne, I know that y'all worked with Mike Oral some, that I think that everything should be fine going forward. It's my understanding that the problems will be corrected. But like I said, by the time we got done, I believe all of the books appeared to be accurate. That was the second recommendation. Unfortunately, one of the problems that we encountered led to the last recommendation that we made, and it had to do with compliance. I said I would come back to that. After we made some adjustments to the expenditures, well, guess what? Expenditures are now higher than they were to begin with, and now they're higher than what your budget was approved. And there's a state law that requires you to keep your expenditures within budgetary limits. This was what I was talking about before the meeting. I really hated to do this to you guys because everybody thought we were fine with the budget at the end of the fiscal year, and it wasn't until we came in and made some adjustments to the numbers that it caused the numbers to be a lot higher, and now that's over the budgetary limit. So this one almost seems like a little unfair, but unfortunately we have to put that into our report and make mention that that did violate the state law. So our official recommendation is please refrain from authorizing expenditures that exceed budgetary limits. If it becomes probable as the year goes on that you're going to go over, make your amendments. But I think the real heart of this recommendation goes back to once we're not going to have the problem with making significant adjustments to the numbers, you would have known that at the end of the year, and you would have known that an amendment would have been necessary. So that's the...
Well, some things become unforeseen, and we do have them in the budget.
Exactly. And I have a feeling that it's my understanding, had you known that those numbers weren't accurate at the time, you probably would have had that amendment taken care of and would not have had that recommendation also.
Exactly.
So that's one of those, we understand, we realize what happened, and it doesn't appear to be the fault of council or the administration, but after the numbers were adjusted out, that's the situation we were in, and like we said, we wouldn't have been doing our job if we didn't make that a part of the report. That's a brief summary then of what the reports say and our recommendations that we wanted to offer. I know you haven't had a chance to see the reports very long. Normally I like to have those mailed out in advance so you've had a chance to see them, and we wanted to be sure to have everything done for this meeting. That was cutting things a little close since we got a late start, but I appreciate your patience. But I know, like I said, you haven't had a chance to look them over and study them or anything, but if anybody has any questions about what's in the reports or the way we found things, I'd be glad to do my best to try to answer those.
I have a question on the GAP generally accepted accounting principles.
Yes, sir. Yes.
I mean, I can see all the way back to the 1986 state audit, they pointed out. Every audit we have every year, they pointed out. I keep saying, let's be GAAP compliant. Let's switch this way. And I don't see why we don't. And it would avoid some of this misrecording, you know.
Well, I'm not sure that would have made any difference for the adjustments that we had to make. The difference between the modified cash basis that you're on and GAAP basically has to do with revenue recognition and timing. If your financial statements were in accordance with GAAP, you would recognize your revenues when you earn them. And the way you've got them on your financial statements, you recognize the revenues when you actually receive the money. And the only difference is with receivables and its timing. I think with the problems that required significant adjustment, probably would have had those regardless of which basis of accounting you would have had. So the recommendation that we made about the significant adjustments was more or less because of the errors and not because of the basis of accounting.
Right, but I don't see a downside to using generally accepted accounting principles. You said 95% of the people do, but
It's usually, it's cost, basically. It's a cost benefit decision. It is a little more time consuming for your record keepers to be able to use the or the general accepted accounting principles. And quite honestly, there's a lot more auditing involved because there's more accounts. And the way the statements are now, the balance sheet has basically the cash that we have or fixed assets. It has long-term debt, and that's about all that's on there. And if you were using basically modified accrual basis is what GAAP is, then you would have sales tax receivables and property tax receivables. You would be taking the property taxes that haven't been paid yet. Those would have to be recorded as a revenue and a receivable until the cash is actually received. And then, of course, there would be allowance for uncollectible accounts. There would have to be estimates made of how much of the receivables is still going to come in and how much is never going to come in. And those accounts have to...
In a small town like this, that would be almost impossible.
Well, it's possible, but it's time consuming, and to be quite honest, that's there's a lot of auditing of accounts that right now don't exist, so they don't have to be audited. When we do an audit for a town not about the same size, we have one town that we audit that actually uses general accepted accounting principles, and they're talking about switching to the same basis you have. Their audit costs about $8,000 more than yours does.
Okay.
So we've got, I believe, one county. I do several counties, for instance. We have a county down south that uses the same basis as yours, and they pay about $12,000 for their audit. And we do a county audit in mid-Missouri, and they pay about $28,000 for their audit. They use general accepted accounting principles. So there's significantly a lot more work to be done.
And one other thing, normally, every time, you know, ever I've been here, when we get the audit, we respond to the findings, where this time it says view of responsible officials. The board is the responsible officials, and we didn't present this view. It came from...
Well, I apologize for not getting those responses directly from you as the board. We're allowed to report either management or the board or whoever the city designates. And I apologize, I did not talk to you all to realize that the council should have been making those responses.
We always have, that's why I was surprised to see that the response was there already.
That's something we can definitely do next year. We can make sure that we get those.
I think so.
The response you was authorized to give to you, and it was handled proper. You got the response, proper response. Whatever he said, you don't hear none of the other three.
He's the administrator.
The board will know they got everything, and we handle it the way it's always been.
From our perspective, either place would have been fine, but for your particular city, we can do it however you choose to do, and we do
Well,
that.
that's just the way we've always been doing it, and all of a sudden we have two people speaking for aldermen.
And we got one alderman speaking for three, does it have a problem, the other three aldermen, whatever? So now we got
As
three
long as
talking
we're
for one.
informed of
so-
what the responses are, as long as we're informed of what the responses are, and we agree with the responses, then
We can't
it doesn't
hold
have
up
to take the board to make that decision.
We can't hold up something for 30 days when we really respond, we get a thing, and it's worked out, and we report to the board, it does report to the board, just like you're doing now.
We've always done it the other way. This is
I'm
the
not
first time
arguing
it's
with
done
you,
this
let
way.
Mr. Jeffers make his report, and if you got a problem with me, the way I handle things, we'll take it up. We'll take Mr. Jeffers with his, and let him finish his report. And if you got a problem with the way I internally do things.
I make a
then we'll
motion,
do
we
it.
accept the auditor's report.
Second.
Make that all those.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, sir.
Well, we thank all of you. We sure appreciate the chance to get to do this work for you, and hope that we can build a relationship that we can work for you as long as you'd like us to. I always tell everybody, if you get a chance to read through this, it's exciting reading, and it can really help if you're having trouble sleeping some nights.
You will go to sleep.
Well, I can assure you at the present time, and working around here and with Joanne and seeing them here, they come here in a couple of days and got the stuff and got it done and got out of here. And we was able to do our thing and they did theirs, and we appreciate the way it was handled.
Well,
It's been,
Very
it's
professional.
been at least 3 years since it was handled like we thought it should have been, and went right back to where it used to be.
Well, I appreciate you saying that about my
And
staff.
if
so-
I didn't mean it, I wouldn't say it.
But if y'all, if you find something though, that you come across something that you'd like a little more explanation on, feel free to let me know.
Okay, thank you, Jeff.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Please
you.
pass it on to your staff, will you
And,
please?
and I appreciate, I'm gonna slip on out, I'm due up at St. Genevieve's having a council meeting in 15 minutes, and they're expecting a report on their report too. So, thank you all very much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, the, motion to consent agenda.
Motion to accept the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion made, second, all those
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
New business. Bill number 886.
Bill number 886.
I'd like to make a motion that we read bill number 866 by title only.
886.
Yeah, 886.
Our copies are available at the time.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Bill number 886, an ordinance amending the budget for the city of St. Mary, Missouri for the fiscal year 2012-2013.
Motion for second reading.
I make a motion for second reading of bill number 886.
I second it.
Motion made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Bill number 886, an ordinance amending the budget for the city of St. Mary, Missouri for the fiscal year 2012-2013.
Motion to adopt.
I make a motion to adopt bill number 886.
I second it.
Roll call.
Alderman Marlowe,
Aye.
Alderman Franklin,
Aye.
Alderman Costello,
Aye.
Alderman Boray.
Aye.
Okay, and then, so, the bill number 887.
Making a motion to have bill number 887 read by title only.
I second it.
Motion made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Bill number 887, an ordinance establishing stop signs at designated locations and setting when this ordinance shall take effect.
Motion for second reading.
I make a motion for second reading of bill number 887.
I second it.
Motion made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Bill number 887, an ordinance establishing stop signs at designated locations and setting when this ordinance shall take effect.
I make a
Motion to adopt.
I make a motion to adopt ordinance number 887, going.
Seconded.
Motion made and second, roll call.
Alderman Borbay,
Aye.
Alderman Costello.
Aye.
Alderman Gerardo,
Aye.
Alderman Franklin.
Aye.
Okay, I guess we're going to departmental reports. Joe, fire department?
When I got the report, we had 2 calls since last meeting. We had one up there by Brewer, mutual aid to Perryville for a structure car, and then we had a call on the 8th, a couple days ago on St. Mary Church Road.
Did you have any water usage?
Pardon me?
Have any water usage?
No.
Okay. How'd that training go? Pretty good? So you had just sent over the training?
On the building,
Yeah.
we're good. We got 100 down.
Joe, if you get a
So we're
chance,
gonna get it cleaned up now.
if you get a chance one evening this week, stop by and see me, or next week, or
All right.
this weekend, and stuff, if you happen to be around. Not real important, but I need to get with you on something.
Okay.
Please?
Nothing to report on, Mr. Mayor.
Well, I'll report that we did report that we're going to Jeff City and looked at a new car. We should be real close to getting it within the next couple of weeks, you say, with you?
I got an email today, and they are gonna be sending out the checks to us by the week, first part of, end of this week or first part next week.
Sometime this, by the end of the month, we should have the new police car.
We have to purchase the decals for it, or they're,
Yeah.
and I know we went through bids to replace the ones we have already.
When we
do the
replace
bids
these-
again,
when
or
we-
do we use the same?
No, you can't take them off, really.
Oh, no, I'm talking about the same people. that
Well,
we
I
already-
bet, as far as I know, I don't know if we've always went to bid or what we did, I don't know what we did on the last one. Used to, high caliber used to do them, didn't they? I don't know, we'll look up the record, see who did it last or what, I don't remember how.
Because
we
that's
did it.
only been like a year or two that we replaced
I
them
don't
with
remember
police
who done, I
cars.
know we had them fixed, but,
And we picked through the bids,
who did it, Mark?
It was Brewer Monument down in Perryville. The first time we had, I received 3 bids on the car for the first set of decals years ago. The person that did it then doesn't do it anymore, and what Alderman Gerard was talking about having to have them replaced, I had gotten some bids, and that's who put the replacement stickers on.
It don't take
For a
much.
monument in Perryville.
It don't take but a little bit of
What-
time to call
What,
three
what,
places.
I figured when we got the car, I would get 3 more bids, and go with the best or the cheapest, however it worked out.
If I remember correctly, there was one that we had used before and they didn't last very long, so we went with a different
No, they lasted quite well. There was
previously.
no, they lasted quite a while. But then the ones when we had it replaced, there was a couple flaws in it, and I had to take it back, and they took care of that. Maybe that's what you were thinking about.
Okay, so they covered it.
And they covered it.
Charges in.
They
Okay.
covered it, and that was the company I spoke of in Perryville.
We will get our 3 bids unless we have reason to believe that the low bid is not qualified, or something we get reason to believe they don't do good work, we will accept the bid and have it done and be on the road. I suspect we'll probably get it within a couple of weeks. 3 at the most. And then we'll have to take that, we got a volunteer to put the radio in it. And a few other things, it's coming with light bar and everything on it this time. The chamber has graciously offered to pay for the expenses of the light bar and the wigwag, they call it. And maybe a little more, but they're going to, no matter what we pay for the car, they have agreed to pay for that, which is right at $1,700. But it will, the original state patrol type lights and everything will be on the car when it comes. Our radio, our siren and stuff like that has to be put on, but the light parts bar and everything will be what you take control, use the low profile, pretty nice big. We've seen it out there, we've seen the car, drove it. Different color than what you got, if it's the same color, you wouldn't even know it, because there ain't not much change in the ground bit, but it's nice.
Started the first time.
Yeah, sorry.
What year,
Don't leave off.
year is it?
Done?
What year?
Oh, 09. We could've got a 2000, but they all had, about the same miles on them. And this one here was $500 cheaper than anything else we could've got, so between 09 and 10 makes no difference. Just hold on, drive it, as long as it's good, when it gets bad, just do like you did this time, and if it starts going to give you trouble, you go for another one. But at that point, a year don't make much difference.
Right.
When the first 2 or 3 years, it makes difference. When they get 10, 12, 13 years old, 1 year don't make much difference in the price. So we elected to do like that. And some of them have a little bit of damage on them. Didn't hear, did it have any damage on it?
I don't believe it had any damage.
Okay. Yeah, still got 500 chips and anything else we get, but the miles are 53,000.
53.
One officer had drove it the whole time, it hadn't been passed around. So we got the service records and everything of it, but the day was, they got it to now.
And
Okay.
we get bids for the previous one once we're switched over. Seal bids
For what?
to sell the old one.
We will do just like we did any other time. We will advertise bids on it. If they come within what we think it's worth, we'll take it, but don't. They'll probably do like they did before, put it down on my lot, and I don't charge nothing, and see if we can get more out of it. If the bids are good enough within the range, you know, what it should be in the neighborhood. But if not, we sold the other one, I sold the other one off my lot.
We have
Because
to
the
take,
bid was awful small.
we have to take the lights and decals off.
Yes, we did the other time. You can't, you don't want to sell with police car decals and
We
things.
just can't sell those lights to anybody.
We don't want to sell the lights.
Right, so we have an extra set of lights.
We have what's on it now, but the fire department or the whatever, I'm sure we got a truck that could use them. Okay?
Okay.
Park and cemetery,
I don't have anything to report.
I know somebody gotta go work today or something.
Yeah.
I get you out of here. Street,
I have nothing.
animal, water,
Okay, one thing I've got on water is that, we did vaccines, we had one that came back, both one positive, we took 5 repeats, and they were all good. We did several service calls on grinders, the leak was discovered in the pit, regulating valve, and it's been fixed. And, sewer project is, on its way to being accomplished, as you already know. That's it.
The Bactese sample that was positive came from what location?
Joanne Dunsies.
but it don't count because there was only one, there was no, the follow-up was clear. You know, it means nothing.
We had 25 samples in a row from mid-October absent, and that's the first time I heard we had a positive. I guess that was this year?
Yes.
Okay.
You could take 100 samples out of the same water and sooner or later you're gonna get a soil worm box and somebody's gonna do something.
It could have been a mistake.
It's gonna happen, but that's why they have a backup, and when the second one comes back clear, you're okay, and this and them. Okay, I mean, he didn't have to mention, but he did. Animal control,
Nothing to report.
emergency management, I have nothing. We're down to the citizen participation, as the rules always goes, most everybody here has been involved in the rules, so with that being said, anybody got anything they want to say? Nobody got anything they want to say? Motion to close to be in order. Adjourn.
That's what's out there.
Motion adjourned. Have
I
a second?
seconded it.
Motion made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion meeting adjourned.
Thank you.